Hello everyone, welcome to the Vedic Mystics channel. In this video, we will be looking at the question, who has a better chance of winning the 2024 US election, Harris or Trump? To help with this analysis, we will be using Vedic astrology, which uses the sidereal zodiac instead of the tropical zodiac. The approach we take is to understand the question, determine the factors in Vedic astrology that provide answers to the question, analyze the charts of Harris and Trump to look for these factors in their charts, and finally, draw a conclusion. The question is, who will become the next president in 2024? The presidency is the highest status someone can achieve in the field of politics in the United States. Therefore, the factors contributing to success are the activation of the first and fifth lords and houses, which represent the self and fame, respectively. The factors detracting from success are the activation of the 12th lord and house, representing losses. Now, let us look at the chart of Kamala Harris. She was born on October 20th, 1964 at 9:28 p.m. in Oakland, California. Using a Chitrapaksha Ayanamsha, I get a Gemini ascendant. Some have pointed out that using a galactic center Ayanamsha gives a Taurus ascendant. I feel the Gemini ascendant is accurate, given, among other factors, her whimsical personality, intelligence, and oratorical skills. Therefore, I would use the Gemini ascendant for this analysis. Now let us capture the factors that we have indicated so far. We are looking to activate, on the positive side, the first lord, the first house, and the fifth lord and the fifth house. On the negative side, we are hoping that the 12th lord and the 12th house are not activated. The period of interest is the date of the election, which is November 5th, 2024. For Kamala Harris, she runs Rahu Venus during that period. Therefore, the planets of interest are Rahu and Venus. In Vedic astrology, every planet activates its Rashi Lord and Nakshatra Lord, and any planet that aspects this planet. In the case of Rahu, it activates Mercury, the Rashi Lord, and Mars, the Nakshatra Lord. In the case of Venus, it activates the Sun, the Rashi Lord, and the Nakshatra Lord is Venus. Therefore, there isn't another planet that gets activated there. In addition, Saturn aspects Venus, and therefore Saturn is also activated in this period. So now let us capture these and look to see if the 1st, 5th, and 12th are activated. Rahu is in the first house. It activates Mercury, which is in the 5th house and owns the 1st house and the 4th house. It also activates Mars as the Nakshatra Lord, which is in the 2nd house and is the ruler of the 6th house and the 11th house. Similarly, Venus is in the 3rd house and owns the 5th house and the 12th house. It activates the Sun as the Rashi Lord, which is in the 5th house and owns the 3rd house. And it activates Saturn because of its aspect, which is in the 9th Lord and also owns the 8th Lord. Now let us review the houses and lords that are activated. We'll start with the houses. So we see that the 1st house is activated once and twice. The 5th house is activated once, twice, and thrice. And the 1st lord, which is Mercury, is activated. And the 5th lord, Venus, is also activated. On the negative side, we see that the 12th house is activated and the 12th lord Venus is also activated. Therefore, on the whole, we see that the 12th lord and the 12th house are activated, which is not good. And we see that the 1st house, 1st lord, 5th house, and 5th lord are all activated, which is good. Looking at this, we see that the only houses that are activated more than once are the 1st house and the 5th house. This is exactly what we are looking for. And this bodes very well for Kamala Harris's chances of winning the 2024 election. In addition, we also see that Venus and Sun are exchanging houses. With Venus coming into the 5th house, you would have the 1st lord and the 5th lord being together in the 5th house. So that's another positive. If you look at the same thing in the D10 chart, which is the chart for career, Rahu is in the 1st house and Venus is in the 11th house of gains. So the Rahu-Venus period bodes well for career in the D10 chart. Now let us repeat this analysis with Trump's chart. Trump was born on June 14th, 1946 at 10:54 a.m. in Jamaica, New York. There is no ambiguity to his ascendant, so we would just use this Leo ascendant chart. So again, let's capture the factors. The 1st lord, 1st house, 5th lord, 5th house. On the positive side, and the 12th lord and 12th house on the negative side. We can see that he would be running Jupiter Venus at the time of the election. So let's capture that. So the planets of interest for Trump are Jupiter, Venus. Okay, so with that, we can get started with the analysis to determine which houses and lords get activated during the Jupiter-Venus period. Jupiter is in the 2nd house, and it is the lord of the 5th house and the 8th house. It activates Mercury, its Rashi lord, which is in the 11th house and is the lord of the 2nd house. It also activates Mars, the Nakshatra lord, which is in the 1st house and is the lord of the 4th and the 9th houses. In addition, Saturn aspects Jupiter. Therefore, Saturn is also activated. It's in the 12th house and it is the lord of the 6th and 7th houses. Repeating this for Venus, Venus is in the 12th house. It's the lord of the 3rd and the 10th house. It activates Moon, the Rashi lord, which is in the 4th house and the lord of the 12th. It activates Jupiter as the Nakshatra lord, which is in the 2nd house and owns the 5th and the 8th houses. And it is conjunct Saturn and therefore activates Saturn as well, which is again in the 12th house and is the owner of the 6th and the 7th houses. So now that we have captured the houses and the lords that are activated, let us mark the ones that we are interested in, starting with the positive houses. The 1st house is activated once and the 5th house is activated 2 times. And the 1st lord is the sun, which is not activated. The 5th lord is Jupiter, which is activated. On the negative side, the 12th house is activated 4 times, and the 12th lord, Moon, is activated once. So we can capture this at the top as well. So we have both the 12th lord and the 12th house activated. And on the positive side, we have the 1st house, the 5th house, and the 5th lord activated. We do not have the 1st lord activated. So looking at activations that happen more than once, we see the 5th and the 12th activated more than once. And we can compare this to what we saw in Harris's chart, where it was the 1st and the 5th that were activated more than once. We can also look at Jupiter and Venus in the D10 chart for Donald Trump. Jupiter is debilitated in the 4th house and Venus is exalted in the 6th house. This is not as strong as the 1-11 combination that Harris had with Rahu and Venus in her D10 chart. We can also look at the previous election in which Donald Trump lost. At that time, he was running Jupiter's Saturn. And if you look at Saturn and Venus being together in his chart, Jupiter's Saturn would look very similar to Jupiter Venus. It would pretty much activate the same set of houses and lords. So if he lost the election during Jupiter's Saturn, there's a high chance that he would lose the election during Jupiter Venus as well. Now that we have completed the analysis, we can see their scorecards here. Clearly, Harris's chart has more positives and Trump's chart has more negatives. We can therefore predict that Harris will win the 2024 US presidential election. Thanks for listening. Please leave your comments below.